Hey, I'm Eric Spellmann with Spellmann and Associates, and today we're going to be talking about online marketing for lawyers. Now, some of you may be saying, Eric, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a law firm. Why would I watch this? There's going to be a lot of useful information in here that can be applied to no matter what you do. So watch closely and see how you can use some of these tips. First of all, what is online marketing? I have other videos on the subject, but basically, to keep it simple, it's reaching your target prospects through online means. As many of you know, we're moving more and more of our advertising budgets, no matter what business we're in, into the online arena, away from some of the other traditional advertising methods. So online marketing might include social media, blogs, website. It includes a lot of things. It's not just a website. What is your online goal? You've got to have an online goal. Before you ever pay anyone to do any kind of online marketing for you, you must know what you're going to get out of it. What is the point of all of this? What is your goal? One of your goals may be search engine optimization. In other words, you want to come up better when people do a search for law firms in your city or for your specific type of law firm practice. There's different ways to come up, and as you can see in Google, coming up really depends on what you type in. So rule number one is figure out, what are your customers typing in? What are your prospects typing in that you definitely want to come up on? It's not what you think they're typing in, it's what they're actually typing in. So it might help you to actually go out there and ask them, hey, if you were looking for what I do and you didn't know the name of my firm, what would you type into Google? Credentialing is another big piece. And this is where we go in and give yourself props, so to speak. But it's professional props. In other words, people want to know that you know what you're doing. People want to hire a lawyer that has his stuff together, that has done this before, that is on a winning team. Credentialing is key, and in the fact of a law website, credentialing is huge. You want to make sure that those pages that give you credentials are really well established and emphasized. And generating qualified leads. This is big also. You want a website that when people go to it and look at it, they're actually going to get leads from it. So keep in mind that all of these are good goals to have. They don't have to be in any particular order, but you do need to have a goal at least. Let's talk about search engine optimization for a second. Understand how Google ranks. Remember, there is actually a mathematical formula on how Google ranks one site over the other. And some people tell me that Google uses over 150 different criteria when ranking one site over another. None of us know what all that criteria is. It's kind of top secret. We figured out what some of it is simply by testing. But keep in mind, Google changes this all the time. So don't let anyone tell you they can guarantee you #1 spot on Google, because they can't. And that's because no one, except for a few people at Google, know the actual mathematical equation on how one site is ranked above another. Now, there are a lot of things that Google does use that we know about. For instance, content. Google loves content. In other words, unique content that they won't find anywhere else. We've discovered that the more content your website has on a particular subject, the more likely Google is to rank you above everybody else. And those sites that have a lot of unique content do better than those sites that have none. Also keep in mind that it must be unique. And I've said this before, it can't be anywhere else. Some of you may want to just copy and paste from an association website or from someone else's blog. Don't do that, because only the first people to create that content and to have it out there get SEO credit from Google. Everyone else gets nothing. Google wants unique content. So whether you have to pay someone to write it or write it yourself, make sure that it's out there. Also, Google looks at how frequently you update your site. If it's like a billboard and is only updated once every 6 months when someone changes, Google's going to note that. But if your website is changing every week with maybe a new blog or a new article or something, Google's going to notice that too. And it's going to consider your site more relevant, and therefore it'll rank higher. Look at the number of inbound links. And what I mean by that is how many other websites are linking to you. There's easy ways to do that, and I've shown you on previous videos how to do that. But basically, websites that are considered highly relevant themselves in Google, who link to you, pass on that relevance to you. And so if there are websites where you can actually ask, hey, would you link to us for this or link to us from that? Google will see that, and Google will up your SEO score. Credentialing. This is huge with law firms. And in fact, it's almost just with law firms. My company makes websites for a lot of different industries. But in the case of law firms, we've found that credentialing seems to be the biggest goal of most legal websites. Rule number one when I talk to my clients who are lawyers is go update your LinkedIn account. Yeah, I know. Some of y'all are going, linked what? LinkedIn? Isn't that the business Facebook? Yes. But it's also where a lot of lawyers are checked out. Also keep in mind that Google puts a lot of relevance on LinkedIn. So if you put all your practice areas in LinkedIn and maybe some of the articles you've written in LinkedIn, Google will see that. And I've actually seen situations where an attorney's LinkedIn profile ranks above their website. Heck, I don't care as long as they come up. So don't ignore LinkedIn. Go fill it out completely, put all your information in there, and then update it as you write more papers. Your website profile. Every website of a law firm needs to have a section where the basic information or bio of each attorney is listed. And I prefer to give each one their own page. That way Google can find it easier. And a lot of times these pages will pull up. Keep in mind when people are searching for a lawyer, many times they're actually searching for the name of a lawyer, not a law firm. And so by having separate pages for each attorney indexed well for their name, many times this will come up first. Generating leads. This is one of the biggest parts of a law firm website, is you want people to call you and say, hey, I was on your website. What can you do for me? Before anyone will ever contact you, you've got to lower something called the trust barrier. The trust barrier is what keeps people from contacting you. It's kind of like you're assumed guilty until proven innocent. Think about it. Every time you go to a website, do you immediately pick up the phone and call them? No. You scan it, you read it, you try to figure out if they're going to be able to meet your needs, and then and only then you might pick up the phone and call them. Well, the same is true with your website, Mr. Lawyer. They're going to go to your site and try to figure out whether you can help them or not before they ever call you. Some of the things you can use to help lower the trust barrier so that more of those people will call you are testimonials. Everyone knows you're going to toot your own horn and say you're the best thing since sliced bread. But when they see someone else saying that Mr. Joe Bob attorney helped me and I highly recommend him, that's huge. That's a third-party objective opinion. So on most legal websites, I recommend that there be testimonials somehow embedded somewhere. Sometimes I sprinkle them on every single page so that it's reinforcing what's on that page. I prefer to put testimonials having to do with particular practice areas on those practice area pages so that people say, hey, they do have winning experience in this particular area. Videos are also huge, and I've seen huge success with them myself, as you can well imagine. But in the law firm, you can make a video about anything, how to avoid this or how to do this. One of the reasons I like videos is not because you're actually just giving content. You're showing your personality. Remember this, people connect with people, not businesses. When someone does business with you, they're connecting with you as a person, not the business. And so one of the key criteria in choosing a lawyer is someone that you connect with, someone you feel you can communicate with. And when you produce a video and they can watch it, you've actually made it much easier for them to connect with you. So videos are huge. I've seen some law firms that incorporate video, especially video introductions by the lawyers, do 2 to 3 times as much business as law firms who simply have a lot of text. Keep in mind you can offer the trade, and if you don't know what the trade is, please, I have a whole video just on it. Go watch it. Back at ericspellmann.com, click on videos. But basically, no one's going to give you their personal information unless you give them something in return. So think about what the trade is going to be on your website, whether it's going to be information that helps them or whether it's going to be something that actually has a cash value. Either way, you want to offer them, give them a reason to contact you and get that meeting. There's a lot of mistakes people make when building a website, especially a legal website. Number one is, unfortunately, a lot of people create an ego site. You've seen them before. It's a lawyer website where they're standing up there with their arms crossed, looking really strong. Unfortunately, I've seen some legal websites that are created simply so that the lawyer can show his golf buddies that he has a website. I don't think that's the best reason. You want a website that speaks to your potential customers. Keep in mind, why do most people need a lawyer? It's because they're in trouble or they don't want to get in trouble. And so your website needs to speak to that. It doesn't need to be, a big Hollywood picture of you. Also, one of the big mistakes I've seen is a lot of legal websites, the lawyers measure their success on their website by simply the amount of traffic going to it. Keep in mind, I could send millions of people to your website, but if none of them turned into customers, what was the point? The key is not traffic. The key is what we call conversions. The key is qualified leads. How many people actually called you up and you were able to talk with them and perhaps to get them as a customer? Remember, your goal is not traffic. Your goal is customers. No mobile site. Remember, a lot of people's only internet experience is on their smartphone. Many of them don't have computers, or they might be in their car and don't have access to one. So a lot of times they will pull up their smartphone and Google you, and whatever comes up is what comes up. If all you have is an actual website that looks good on a computer, then keep in mind, someone with a smartphone, it may take a while for that to load up, or they'll have to expand it and zoom and pan all around to even read anything on it. What I like to do for my customers is give them their own mobile website that looks really good, big thumb-sized buttons. It automatically detects if they're coming up on a smartphone and gives the basic information. It also comes up quick because you never know, someone may have a very slow phone and you want your website to come up quick. Well, as always, if you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm Eric Spellmann. I'll see you in cyberspace.